Good morning, everyone. My name is Chad Riley, and I'm with Carver County IT. Our team performs the GIS duties with the county. Today, we're here to discuss some of the data and tools that are available to citizens and people doing business within Carver County. Before we discuss in depth what GIS is, I want to state that what you're going to be seeing here today is largely made possible by collaborations and partnerships with all departments in the county, but also some very strong partnerships with each city in the county where we share resources such as staffing, data, and licensing. So I want to introduce some speakers today. We've got Craig Kerslin and Matt Rantala, who are our senior GIS analysts with the county. Allison Campbell, who could not be here, she's our county GIS coordinator, and she works very closely with each of our cities. And also with us is Dennis Tumberg, who is going to be representing the city of Chanhassen today. So I'm going to hand off to Matt to start going into what GIS is.
Thank you, Chad, and thank you everybody for coming out today. Listening to us talk about GIS. To get us started, I'm going to give a quick 3-word description of getting in the right mindset of what GIS is. And that's merge with maps. Now, I hope I don't offend any of my co-workers, but this kind of gets to the essence of what GIS is. Moving on to a definition from ESRI, a leading GIS software company, you can see that GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. Now let's break that down word by word. Geographic, we're talking about places on the earth. Information means that we have data and facts about those places on the earth. And then systems just implies that it's about computers and software that's used to process that data, analyze that data, and then show it to the people who use it. I'm going to also mention a couple of highlights here. GIS connects data to maps. And why would we want to do that? It helps people understand and better communicate, it improves efficiency and management and decision making. But the key point here is that GIS connects data to a map. And let's say looking at a GIS that most people are familiar with, and that's Google Maps. Probably the most widely used GIS that there is, but it does, going back to our definition, does have data about places, and it's placed on a map. So widely used, and it's good for what it does. You know, it has very good reference to a map. There's a lot of places you can find on there, and once you find it, it has the ability to help you route to that location. Whether you're driving, flying, walking, biking, it's got the ability to route you directly to someplace. So that's something most people are familiar with. So, now I love maps.
We're getting a note that the audio is almost imperceptible. Could you maybe get the mic a little closer, please?
Sorry about that. So I've been talking about maps, and I love maps. And, you know, they're very visual and very attention-grabbing. But I want to emphasize one point about GIS and maps. Everything on the map is representing something on the earth. It's representing data. And it's, the map is trying to communicate that data to people. For example, this is a bedrock map of Carver County. And every symbol on this map actually stands for something. Now, I'm not a geologist, and I don't understand all those symbols. But if we have geologists here, they could look at this map and really break it down, and they would know what this map is telling them. And then above and beyond that, they could use this map to help make decisions. Maybe it would be trying to decide where to place a sand and gravel mine, or where a city should place its well to what aquifer so that you can get a clean water supply for the population. Or maybe it's identifying areas within the county that radon is more of a concern. So, while maps are great, I want to emphasize that there's data behind the map that we're really trying to convey. Now, I have this quote that 80% of data is spatial. That's a common quote that we see in the GIS industry, but it doesn't really have a good source. So I'm attributing it to the internet. So take that with a grain of salt. But understand that when you have data that has a location in it, like this hypothetical list of addresses and Halloween trees, if you take that data and then place it on a map, that can make it a lot more powerful, as shown by this slide. If you're all trick-or-treating and you like M&Ms, you may want to hit a different part of this neighborhood than if you like Lisa's peanut butter cups. And not only do you know what area you want to hit first, but also might help you come up with a route. Now, one of the subtle advantages of GIS, is that if you take is that data that once it's mapped, you're tying it into a framework of a lot of other data because you're identifying a specific point on the globe, and that instantly ties it into any other data that is available that is mapped. Take, for example, any address in the United States. If you give me that address, we can pretty quickly look up using census data what the population is in that area, what the population density is. We can look up demographics to see what the racial makeup is, what the age groups are. We can also look up information about the property. We can look at tax rates, tax assessment, sales of properties in that neighborhood. We could look at what school district that's in, what there's traffic information so you could know how many vehicles drive by that location on a daily basis. You could look up what the speed of broadband is available in that location. You could even look up, where's the closest coffee shop to that location. So there's a wide variety of information that instantly becomes available once you identify a location on the map. I kind of feel like a realtor, location, location, location. This, on the back, previously. Now, this slide kind of shows all this data as layers. This is a traditional slide or graphic for GIS to display that content, that idea of data as layers. In this example, we're showing geology, contours, land use, water features, and man-made features like parcels, properties, roads. And using this layered data, you can help make decisions. A farmer, for example, might want to use this data to plan out the location of their crops on their farm to best utilize the resources. A municipality may want to look at this data to decide what environmental features they want to protect and how to go about doing that. Or a public works department or traffic engineer could use data like this to determine where roads need to get expanded for the future, or how to come up with a pavement protection program to take care of their roads. Companies also use this sort of concept when they're picking where to store. They might look at different data, like where their target audience is, where competitors are, where complementary businesses are, or traffic patterns again. And this will help them decide where to place a store and also potentially what format. You know, should we put a eat-in pizza place here where people come in and eat, or should it be a delivery-only location? So those are some of the decisions that GIS will use in commercial world. One thing we did at the county is when we were looking at where to place a vaccination clinic, is we ran some analysis for different spots in the county. We created 15, 30, 45-minute, and 60-minute drive buffers around potential sites, and then we ran statistics to see how many people were in each of those rings. And as you can see, for example, we have Napoleon, Chanhassen up here. You can see that in the graph to the lower left, Chanhassen reaches more people, which isn't surprising, being further east. And it extends, even in western Wisconsin, where the Napoleon one reaches further west. So the population is getting a little bit less. Now, realizing that that we wouldn't have the only vaccination clinic, we've had a second analysis where we assume that there would be also clinics in Hutchinson, Mankato, and St. Louis Park, for example. And we assume that people would travel to the clinic that was closest to their home. We reran that analysis and came up with a different set of numbers. And you can see down on the lower left, the two columns to the left are the new analysis, and then the previous analysis to the right. You can see the numbers are much lower because we're assuming people will be going to other competing clinics. Now, this wasn't the only deciding factor in where to place a clinic, but it did give people who were making the decision, some hard data, some hard estimate on, where a clinic should be placed. We also took a look at some other demographic factors for these. We took a look at vulnerable populations. We looked at age groups, people with health issues, and what kind of ramifications each one of these sites would have as far as mobility and people being able to get to a clinic that would be near them. And that pretty much covers my discussion on data. Chad is going to now talk about another popular data layer we have that's really valuable. Chad.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. So before we kind of segue into some of the data and apps that we have available, I want to talk about aerial photography. This is one of our most popular and useful data sets that a GIS professional can have. The county contracts for aerial photography. We do that twice every 3 years, in that we do that with different levels of quality and different angles. As technology advances, the cost for better quality imagery will decrease. And the county has imagery in our collection dating all the way back to 1937. So Craig will show some applications later that will allow citizens to see all of the imagery that we have available. Comparing aerial photography is really useful to show change in our landscape over time. So in this example, showing the current location where we're at today at the Chanhassen Library, all the way back in 1979 to today, you can see there's been some very significant urbanization over that time. Here's a little bit more zoomed out view of the general area. You can see obviously a lot has changed since 1979 in Chanhassen. Another example, this is the Highway 101 bridge crossing from Shakopee into Carver County. You can see that there has been some very significant road realignment. A couple roundabouts have put in. What's also very interesting about this is you can see the effects of flooding in the area. I'm not sure what happened in the image on the left, but I suspect, any higher, if that river got any higher, 101 would have closed at that particular juncture. So comparing imagery like this is really useful to see how things have changed over time. So the majority of our flights, at least in recent years, in alignment with costs, we fly what we call 6-inch photography. And basically what that means is 1 pixel in this image represents 6 inches on the ground. This is allows for a good amount of data to be seen and derived. You can see cars, you can see road curves, and markings are very clearly visible. You can even make out, in an image like this, traffic signals. Now, smaller objects, though, maybe we'll go to the next one here. Smaller objects become a little bit more challenging to see. If you kind of see in the middle there, there's actually some street signs that become a little bit more harder to see. You can maybe see that there's something there, but to be able to see it with confidence and really know what it is becomes a bit of a challenge with something like this. But we can still derive a lot of data from a 6-inch photo. Compare that to a more higher resolution or better quality flight, which we have just completed in 2022. This is a 3-inch photo. Again, meaning that a pixel in this represents 3 inches on the ground. You can see that we've got a lot of the same data, but with much more crispness and clarity. You can see the same type of data. You can still see road curves, cars, etc. But if you start to zoom in a little bit more, so Craig, if you want to go to the next slide there, you can now see, you can actually make out the existence of those road signs, kind of in the middle of the screen there. You can see those with a lot more clarity because we are able to cover more ground with a better camera. Okay. The last type of flight that we fly is what we call an oblique photography photo, and that is we also kind of consider it a bird's eye view. It's looking at every property from an angle as opposed to straight up and down. What this gives us is that third dimension. What's mostly interesting about this is compared to the other image, if you see on the southeast corner there, you can see that there's a wall there, and there's also kind of make out a target truck. You can see very clearly from this type of image that that's a pretty big wall. These images like this are really useful for perhaps our sheriff's department if they were maybe trying to come up with some sort of like an evacuation plan or whatever there may be. It would be useful for them to be able to tell that there's a wall like this, so that they don't maybe send people in the wrong direction. So. That was just a quick little overview of the types of images that we have available. I'm going to hand it over to Craig, who's going to show some of the other data and applications that we have available in the cities and businesses.
Thanks, Chad. Up to this point, Chad and Matt have now given a very good explanation, a good overview of what some of the work that we do on an everyday basis and how we use it in our everyday lives. I get the fun part now, so now we're going to transition into how can I obtain this map, these map layers, how can I obtain this imagery, how can I use it, what are some public apps that we have that I can log in and take a look at to see various public parcels or to see constructions and closures, as well as other apps as well. So I want to high level today go through some of those and go through some of the things that we do offer to the public. So the first thing I do want to highlight is I'm going to start talking a little bit about our Open Data Portal. Our Open Data Portal provides a number of common up-to-date map layers that are authoritative as well. These map layers might include parcels, address points, road center line, and these can easily be accessed by either using the search bar at the top or exploring our data categories here as what Matt shows. And all these map layers, everything you do see on our open data portal are open to the public. You can access them at any time. We have a flyer in the back as well that if you are interested in getting to this site, we do have a link on our flyer to this site. So you're more than happy to go onto the site and take a look at that. When you do browse a category, what you will see then is you will see a list of map layers that are associated with that category. So for this example here, we have 3 examples. We have our city boundary layer, we have our address point layer, which is an address point to every structure in the county, as well as our parcel layer, as well. Each of our map layers, we also offer information about that layer to give you a better idea of how the map layer gets used, the last time it was updated, and just a little bit of an overview of the map layer as well. So in this example here, we're showing how many rows. So for address points, for example, we have 45,241 address points in that map layer. So the next question will be, how can I obtain these map layers? How can I use these map layers? So on the next slide, in this example here, I will select my desired map layer. So in this example, it's going to be our address point layer. At this point, I can take a look at it again. I can review it. You can see that it was last updated on February 26th. And the info was updated on February 28th. The info could be just a little bit more of an explanation of the address point layer. You can also filter the map layer out as well, so if you want to obtain only certain address points. For example, you want address points for only the city of Chanhassen, for example. You can easily filter those address points out. And basically you have a subset of your address point layer that will only have those points. And then at that point you can download the map data layer into a number of formats as well. These formats include shapefiles, KMLs, and CSVs as well. So in terms of map data layer, we probably have about 50 to 60 different map layers currently in our open data portal. Our Open Data Portal also includes a number of public applications as well. So here's just a screenshot of all our public-facing applications that we do offer. Some of the more commonly used apps is our public Parcel App, which in 1 minute Matt will be showing that, and we'll just be doing a little overview on that. Our Construction and Closures app provides road construction closures in nearly real time as well. We also have a crime mapping app, which allows users to filter by various crimes as well as date ranges, and they can see where the most recent crime has been. Currently, our most recent crime, we're showing the past 3 months of crime, and we have select crimes that we do offer to the public as well. We don't offer all the attributes in the public app, but we only offer those that are needed by the county or needed by the citizens. Chad was talking a little bit about imagery in the past, and we also have a historical imagery map viewer as well. He said our first imagery that we flew, not we, but the county flew, was in 1937. Now, obviously, that imagery isn't very high quality. It's hard to see, but it's very interesting to see, hey, the 1937 imagery versus the 2022 imagery that we just flew over the past year as well. You're able to compare various years, and we have probably about 10 to 15 various years that we do offer in our historical imagery viewer as well. So all these apps, like what I mentioned, you do access all these apps right from our open data portal. So there aren't certain individual apps or links that you need to these apps. The next slide, like what I mentioned, I want to talk a little bit about our public parcel application. Our public parcel application is by far the most hit application that we do have at the company. This application provides geographic as well as tax record information that are maintained by various departments within Carver County. This is one important fact that I do want to stress. When a lot of people think applications and maps and everything like that, they think we're the only department that build the apps, that maintain the apps, and all the data and everything they see within the apps are just maintained by us. We actually have multiple processes and scripts that we run every single night that we pull out of our tax records, our assessor records, various departments. We pull that data out and basically combine it and merge it into a format that we can show it right on the public parcel. So that is a very important aspect to remember, is that we do work with various departments within the county. We pull data from them to pump into our public parcel application. So one thing that I do want to show now is just a live look at our public parcel application. This is the current look and feel of our public parcel app. The first thing I did want to talk a little bit about in the upper left are the base maps. So the base maps, if Matt clicks on those, you'll see that there's various imagery years. So you'll see we have various imagery years ranging from 2014 up to our most recent 2022. So for example, if Matt does click on the 2022 imagery, you can see that the map will change to show that 2020 imagery. We also have a number of themes as well. When we say themes, these are various map layers that we offer within our public parcel site as well. Some of them that I do want to highlight are the recent sales. These are any recent home or commercial sales within the past couple of years. You can see those. We also have various other map layers in there, such as wetlands, soils, and floodplains as well. And Matt, if you just want to toggle one of those on, Matt, if you turn wetlands on, for example, you can see that various wetland layers turn on in the map. There we go. It might be a little hard to see in the map there, but Matt zooms in, you can see various map layers in there as well. One other thing I did want to point to is that you can also view various attributes of a particular parcel as well. So for example, you can enter a parcel ID, you can enter an address into the search bar, and on the left-hand side you'll see a window that's got various information that is tied to that particular parcel. If you remember, I mentioned that we do work with various departments, including our assessor's office, our tax record, our taxpayer department as well. And this is a lot of the data that we do pull from them as well. So we can do various things. We can create report cards, which is simply a PDF of the parcel, as well as various information in there as well. We also have we can also view available plats as well. So we do have a plat application that we can identify that particular parcel, what plat that's part of as well. Another thing I did want to highlight further down, Matt, are our taxes. So the taxes are very important. We work with obviously our assessor's office every year, and we maintain current certified tax records as well as proposed future tax records as well. So as most of you are probably aware, our first tax reports will be coming up here in the coming weeks for proposed 2024 taxes. We work with these departments and get the values up on our public parcel by the end of August or by the end of March into early April. That we always maintain and have updated tax values and estimated market values within our app as well. One other thing I did want to mention in the photo tab is that we do have our house front or our structure front photos as well. We show the house front, we don't show any other photos in there as well. So most of our parcels taken from our assessor's office, when they go to assess, we will take a photo in the front, and that's usually on our public parcel site as well. One last thing I did want to mention about the public parcel is it is due for a redesign in the coming year. So within the next year or so, we will be redesigning, reformatting our public parcel site. So at any time you want to go take a look at the site, navigate around, if there's possible things that you would like to see change or some suggestions that you want to provide to us for our next version of this app, we do have a feedback option in the upper right that sends a link to our email that we will take it into consideration once we start creating our new app. Alright, so up to this time we started talking a little bit about our Carver County apps. So these are all the apps that we at Carver County create, maintain. We also have Chaska or city-specific apps as well. Chad's going to talk a little bit about our city staff member here in a second, but we do have Chaska and city-specific apps as well. And there's just a couple that I do want to talk about. But before I do talk about that, I just wanted to give a high-level update that there are other ways that we can obtain map data as well. So here's just it's kind of hard to see in the app, but there are 3 or 4 various other resources that you can hit besides just our Carver County open data portal. We do have the Minnesota Geospatial Commons, and this is a collaborative space for users and publishers to view various map data layers within the state. We also have a Big Ten portal site, and this is managed mostly by librarians and geospatial specialists from among the 14 Big Ten schools. We have ArcGIS Online, which is an Esri tool that allows a user to connect people, locations, and data using interactive apps, maps, and map layers as well. You do have the opportunity to create a free ArcGIS Online account as well. And at that point, you can browse millions of map data layers all throughout the world. And then the last one we did just want to mention, the library system. So for example, the Carver County Library here in Chanhassen, you do have the ability to search a wide database for a nationwide database for people and businesses as well. So these aren't just the only 4, but these are 4 additional resources that you can hit as well. So I just want to finish up by just talking about a couple additional apps that we're working on that are city specific. So the 3 that I am going to show here are all through the city of Chaska. The first one is the Chaska Police Smile program, and this is a program where residents can register their doorbell cameras. Cameras on doorbells are getting more and more popular as they're getting cheaper. So a lot of people have various cameras such as Ring. The police find these extremely useful if there's a crime and it's caught on one of these cameras as well. So at any time, the resident can go and register their camera, say who their contact info is, where the location of the camera is, as well as additional information about that camera as well. And then if there's a crime that takes place around one of these cameras, the police can take a look on a map to see where these registered cameras are. And at that point, they can contact the resident and see if they can use any of the video that the camera took. At any time, the police will not just take the video and use it. They work and they have to be registered through this. The next app I wanted to quickly cover is we do have a City of Chaska park inventory as well. So in 2021, the City of Chaska's parks did an inventory. And at the conclusion, instead of creating maybe a Word document or PDF, they decided to create a story map or an application that looks kind of like this. It gives the user more immersive experience versus just a PDF or a Word doc as well. This story map also allows residents to easily click on a desired park and view photos of that park as well as park attributes as well, such as restrooms and parking as well. And then the final app that I did just want to show is kind of a fun app that we built. And this is every year there's a Chaska Santa parade. And this app is basically shows the parade route, so the way the routes are going to go, as well as an almost up-to-date tracking system to see where Santa is on that route at any one time. So Santa moves throughout the neighborhoods. Somebody on their phone or somebody on their computer can track Santa and see wherever he is. So that was a fun little thing. And the City of Chaska also uses it because they can track how long the parade lasts. They can see the route that was used to see if they need to make any changes to the route as well. And what neighborhoods they do want to hit and everything. So the last thing we did want to show is a quick little photo of the parade in 2021. So we have an elf, we have the Grinch, and we do have Santa as well. So that's just a fun little app that we do offer to the public every year for this parade as well, just to keep them up to date. So at that point, that's what I'm going to cover regarding our map layers as well as some of our apps as well. Obviously, I didn't cover all of our apps, but feel free to hit our open data portal and take a look at them. So at this time, Dennis Tumberg is going to be coming up and talking about the City of Chaska. Thanks.
Thank you, Craig. So I'll be talking about what the City of Chaska is doing in GIS, asset management, and some online mapping. You can see here that we have, basically this shows a map of the utilities for the city, or a little snippet of some utilities. The green lines are storm, red lines are sanitary, and blue lines are water. You can see when you look at all of them together, it gets pretty complex looking at the whole system. What the city does is the city uses GIS to help manage the infrastructure and communicate with the public about things that are going on. If you go to the next slide, you'll see that city assets are basically anything that is part of the network, so anything that is city owned in the city. So that can include the hydrants, the mains, street signs, the pavement itself. All that stuff is considered an asset. In this example, you can see that we're looking at a hydrant in Cartograph. Cartograph is what we use for our asset management in general. Asset management is basically, asset management helps us make better decisions on the city level to help reduce the tax dollars that we use for various projects. We can also use it for determining when we replace different assets in the city to see, look and see what the condition of the assets are at almost any time. If you look at the next slide, you can see for that hydrant, we've done 14 different tasks overall. Mainly they're flushing. They go out and flush the hydrants every single year just to make sure that there's no stagnant water in the system and get some rust out of the system altogether. Make cleaner water for everybody. They also paint the hydrants on a somewhat regular basis if it's needed. And so what we do is we track all of our assets in this way to make sure we know what happened. Because it's hard for one person to remember exactly what was done every hydrant every single year when we have, I think it's like 5,000 hydrants throughout the city. And then if we can multiply that by the various assets the city has, there's probably 40 different asset layers we have in Carver. So it's a pretty comprehensive program. What these do is as you complete tasks for something, if you look at this one shows the hydrants, obviously. If you look at pavement, anytime a street sweeping is done or anytime a pavement rehab is done, like a mill and overlay or even a total reconstruction, the level of that asset or the condition of the asset goes higher than it was before, based on what was done to it. And then they also do inspections, which an inspection we basically look at if the level of the asset is like a good to fair, and you go up there and do an inspection and you see, well, this asset's great. We can actually adjust the life cycle of that asset just by doing an inspection also, or we can lower it if we think that it's actually worse than we thought. If you go to the next slide, this is basically the dashboard that you can see when you first get into Carver App. This is kind of like a manager's view or a quick snapshot for each employee to see. They can see what kind of tasks they need to be done. But you can also see on the very right-hand side of this slide, there's an average trail OCI and average street OCI for local MSA. This is on a 0 to 100 scale. Every day, this number goes down as the streets and the trails lose some of their value in their structure a little bit, and that's a normal thing because everything gets the conditions a little worse every single day as people drive over it or the sun hits it or whatever else. So there's one of the goals we have is to raise that OCI for each asset class or for all pavement throughout the city over time. If we see that the pavement program in general is not doing that, then we need to bump up the dollars and actually put a little more money or cover some of other roads to make that go up a little higher. And then you can also see towards the middle, you can actually see how much we spent on hydrant repair costs in 2022. That $4,908 is probably a little bit light right now, as we're trying to get a little bit better at tracking all of our costs that go into it. But that's a work in progress anyway, as we're getting more and more people involved with cartograph and asset management. Then on the next one, working in hand in hand with cartograph is something called See-Click Fix. It's basically something for residents to go, if residents out driving around, obviously people are driving around every single day. If you see a leaking hydrant or if you see a water that's not on the road that shouldn't be there or a sign that's knocked down, the resident can actually take a picture of the sign or report, let's say it's a sign that was knocked down. The resident can go into See-Click Fix, report the location, and even take a picture of it. Like in this situation, it's a drainage issue on a street. Somebody reported this, and then a little bit further down in the slide, you would see that's actually who it's assigned to in the city. If they feel it needs a comment or a follow-up, the staff member will actually reply to the request or to the issue, and then from that we'll actually create tasks in Cartograph directly from these issues. So that way, especially with the picture, the staff knows exactly what's going on and what the residents see when they're reporting this issue. And then at the end, somebody can actually get notified directly by the city when this work is complete or when it's taken care of. So it's a great tool that we've actually been using for right around a year right now. And it's been a really welcome addition to the city for sure. And the last thing I think I want to talk about was on the website now, we're actually getting more and more into online maps or interactive maps for our website. This is our first show, first attempt at that. It's basically a projects map. What are the current projects going on in the city? At the top of the screen, you'll see that there's different tabs for what types of projects that we have. There's streets and utilities, so basically that any street construction that's going on or any seal coating or all that kind of stuff, you would see that, you can click on that tab and you would see those projects specifically. The same thing with any parks and trails projects that are going on or any planning jobs that are going on. Planning ones are typically point-based, so it's based on each parcel. So overall, we try to keep this up to date. Some of the things, it might seem like the construction is done, but the project is still ongoing on the city level. Once that's actually done, then they'll actually disappear from this map. We'll take off the map altogether. And that's available on the city website on the projects page. We're definitely working towards more items with interactive maps. One of the next things that we're working on right now, or I should say, working on currently. I'm not sure when we're going to release it quite yet. Is a Parks and Trails app also. That way you can interactively zoom in and out, similar to what the city of Chaska has also. And with that, I think I am done with my part, and I think we're ready for any questions.
How many years are covered in the property information and the GIS system?
I think we could have Chad probably talk about that more.
So the question is how many years are covered in our property, like taxes. And, we typically, on the public site, we only show current year taxes. We will show previous year market values. So pretty much just 1 or 2 years around the tax season. We don't show it back. You know, you can't probably go back to like 2010 and see it, but you can see the current year taxes and then the market values that make up that value for the current year.
How about those aerial photos that you showed?
The aerial photos go all the way back. Craig mentioned the historical aerial viewer. We have a very specific app that allows you to see all the way back to 1937. In this particular app, I think it only goes back to 2013. But you can, if you click on that, there's a historical aerial tool. This one will allow you to go all the way back, so we can try that one out, and you'll see that the imagery gets a little bit less clear back in 1937, but actually there's still some residential properties back there. So this is a pretty fun. It's kind of fun to kind of go around and explore the different years of imagery. You know, depending on the area, you can really see urbanization kind of take hold as you go through different sets of years. And we actually have a new version of this coming out, a little bit different way of using it, but most of these have this little slider tool that allow you to kind of compare imagery. Otherwise, you can just look at the years. So
I could actually do that at home on my computer.
Absolutely, yep. And you can look at your properties, assuming it's in Carver County. Most counties have kind of a version of this, but yeah, so you can get to anything that we have in our catalog, and I think again we have all the way back to 1937, and then every 5-6 years we have it available. So.
You said you had a flyer. Does that have more information on it?
Yep, there's a flyer right there that is available, and there's some links that. Yep, you can get to it from there, and then the applications will be available from there. Any other questions?
Thank you.